Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Our show is brought to you by Whoop. Start tracking your strain, recovery, and sleep scores with Whoop, and even get an extra month's membership and a free 4.0 strap when you sign up with the link in our bio. If you like listening to CrossFit and everything that's going on in the sport, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Today, we are continuing our semifinal first take coverage with sports analysts Brian Friend and Patrick Clark. Today, we are talking about the second week that we will be watching the semifinals. We're starting with the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. This is going to be an exciting one. Again, it seems like all of these have really stacked fields, but this time we're going to start with the men's side. Patrick, what are your first takes?
Ooh, back-to-back weekends in Rocky Top, Tennessee. It's pretty. This men's field. Obviously, you see the first three names on this list, and then you have a bunch of names that are somewhat familiar in the space. But yeah, this isn't as maybe top heavy as the syndicate is, but obviously there's still some notable names there as you can see. But yeah, that's kind of what sticks out. Is like you have a lot of I don't know, top 20, top 25 potential athletes there at the games. But yeah, that's what kind of sticks out to me in the men's field.
Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, Dallin Pepper should be on this list, and if if you slide him in there around Tyler Christoffel and Spencer Panchik, I think this is actually kind of the kind of makeup or feel that I want to see in a semifinal. So we see three established and well-known veterans up there on the top of this list. Then you have guys like Dallin Pepper, Tyler Christoffel, and Spencer Panchik, who were all very close last year. Hunter Holyfield was also pretty good at the semifinals last year, and Zach Watts actually qualified for the games last year. But all of those athletes are those are the caliber of athletes that I want to see in the games field, and they have an opportunity to get into the field because there's 5 spots here. And you know what? This is the kind of field that it's like if I am Cole Sager, if I am Noah Olson, if I am Saxon Panchik, you can't take for granted a qualifying spot here because Dallin Pepper is extremely hungry and on the charge. Tyler Christoffel is a little bit bitter probably about last year. He's been training a full another year with Rich. He's going to be tough to beat. Spencer Panchik has been as close as anyone to the games who hasn't made it. And all three of those guys have a really good chance to take a spot. And if all of them are capable of, then one of those veterans misses out. And so this kind of excitement, this is what I like to see in kind of a semifinal field.
Yeah, those athletes that are hungry for it, that probably might want it more than some of the veterans who might take it for granted.
I'm curious, which semifinal are you guys most excited for? The Syndicate Crown or the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge? Knowing that they're both at the same location, they're both at the same venue, put on by the same event organization. If you had to pick, which one are you more excited about?
I think
they're excited for them all.
We're excited for both of them. I would say right now, I would choose the MAC just because for me, the MAC has a special place in my heart because it's been around for a while, and I've been to many different iterations of the MAC, and they always put on. I mean, the MAC itself is going to be programmed like the MAC is typically programmed. At least that's what I'm thinking. And if that's the case, then you're going to have a pretty good, well-rounded test on top of what they include, CrossFit's including with the two tests. But like Brian said, the field is pretty. It's going to be fun to watch, especially like an athlete like Tyler Christoffel, who is bitter, who has been training with Rich, who's done really great so far in the first two stages of the season. To see someone like him, another like Dallin Pepper as well. These will be some of these athletes that, if they make it to the games, have potential to do really well in the games.
What about you, Brian?
Oh, when thinking about something like that, I kind of look at the margin. So I'm not, I know that there's going to be 2 or 3 names in every semifinal field, male or female, that like should, really should make it to the games. They're perennial games athletes. And then I want to see what's the grouping close to the cut line. And I think that for the men in those fields, it's very similar where there's, a group of hungry guys that have potential to make it. And then when I look at the women's fields, I feel like the syndicate's a little bit stronger for the women around the cut line than the MAC is, which I'm presuming we're going to talk about that field here in a second. So I would lean towards syndicate for that reason.
So, Brian, do you think that this top from 1 to 7, it's going to be really close margins in this field? No athlete's going to run away with it?
For the men at the MAC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably one of the semifinals where the there's not going to be a huge gap between, one or two people at the top.
Okay, let's move over now to the women's field. PC, we'll start with you.
I mean, just those two names. I'm excited to see Brooke Wells and Danielle Brandon kind of, go head to head. They're arguably the most talented and athletic women in CrossFit right now. That's not named Tia Claire Toomey, especially American women. But last time we saw both of them on the same competition floor, I mean, granted, you can count the games this year, but Danielle Brandon was kind of being isolated, so they never actually competed along each other. And what pops up whenever I think of that, I think of the 2019 games. I think it was was it final cut 2 or the event with the handstand walks where Danielle Brandon won that event and actually edged out Brooke Wells in that. That's what kind of pops out. And then you have someone like Bailey. So if I'm the MAC and I see this list of this lineup of athletes, I'm like, I gotta have handstand walks in this. I gotta program it. If I haven't programmed already, I better, because that's gonna get the crowd excited, because we know that we have some really talented and athletic women here. And then the rest of that list, it's pretty top heavy with those two. I mean, those are two athletes that are potentially top 10 games athletes. If you look at our power ranks, I think we have them either top 10 or close to the top 10. But after that list, it's a lot of relatively unknown names that are looking to break through.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the women's field?
Well, first of all, I hope the programming was done before the fields were set.
Yeah.
Brian always makes fantastic points.
I can wish.
But yes, it should be Brooke and Danielle are two of the most lovable and exciting women in CrossFit, which is obviously great. And there's a bunch of women here that I think will be seeing a great opportunity here. Bailey and Sydney were both at the games last year and will, I think, be strong contenders to make it back. But no guarantee. A lot of the women that are below there that you might not know too much about, I think that one or two of them might be able to string together a pretty good weekend and kind of achieve their goal, which is to qualify for the CrossFit Games.
One thing to note about that list there, you have 5 female athletes that are part of that 2017 class of teen athletes. And 4 of them actually competed at the games in that. So you have Shelby Neal, Rebecca Foussier, Taylor Babb, and Lindsay Porter. They're all competing at 16 to 17-year-old division in 2017 at the games. So it's kind of interesting to see them all together gathered here at the semifinal, and it shows that 2017 class of teenagers, they're coming up. They're coming up.
Brian, what is your bottom line?
I think bottom line here is a lot of opportunity. The women's field, I think, especially has big opportunities for some young American women, and on the men's field, I wouldn't you have to be ready to go. It's gonna be tough.
Patrick, what's your bottom line?
Bottom line is this is going to be a different semifinal than a syndicate. Where the syndicate, it looks like it's going to be the people that qualify out of the syndicate will be names that you know. You're going to see a lot of names that qualify for the games that you don't know, especially on the women's side, and especially these young athletes that we talked about, these 21 to 23-year-old athletes that have kind of been raised in CrossFit over the last couple of years. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Certainly is. It takes place on May 27th through 29th. That will be the second weekend of the semifinals. Patrick, Clark, Brian Friend, thank you guys. And we will continue on the rest of the week with our semifinals coverage.